Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra, and Kasey, add another check to the Sam column. We've got the awesomely talented quickreaver, self-described Sam-centric Dean-flavored, joining us today. With over 75 works on AO3 consisting of both written and digital art, she's been creating in the supernatural community since the heyday of LiveJournal. We're so grateful she's taken time out of her busy schedule to fan and fawn over Sam with us. Welcome, and thanks for coming onto the podcast, Cris.
Oh, well,
welcome.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, fandom.
Before we get started into any of the questions, I am on our Dean Blorbo or Sam Blorbo Google sheet because we're so professional. So I'm just going to confirm that it's a big old X in the moose column for you, Cris.
Yep, I think that's valid. I think you can do that.
Woot. Right. Do you want to hold the ass end of the moose or the head end of the moose? Because I have to hold all of him. So you're taking a portion of this for the next however long we have you.
Which part do you like?
Yeah, I was like, do I have to choose? Why is choosing an option? No, I will take antlers. How about that?
That'll do. Just honestly, I'm just grateful to have someone here to carry that. He's fucking heavy, y'all. And those Dean people over there, they just have a tiny little squirrel and it just fits in the palm of your hand and you're like, oh, look at it, it's adorable. And I'm over here wrestling with a fucking moose. So I'm just grateful to have help at this point. Woot!
Well, you're welcome.
I'm glad this is going to be a fun episode. Because when I found your art after, again, Amy and Ash, who've been on, were talking about, you got to try to get quickreaver on. And I looked you up and I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I was like, wait, she writes too? And I was like,
I have not in a while, I will say, but yeah.
Doesn't matter. Whatever you've left for the fandom is incredible. And we're going to get to it because it's all about what I think everybody puts into the fandom at whatever time they're a part of it. And then people get the chance to look back on it. And I think that's absolutely awesome. But
it is really cool though. It's like time capsules, especially with a show that's gone on as long as Supernatural has. Holy
because when I was looking back at some of your posts, I'm like, we're talking decade and over, and I was just like, this is really incredible. But school. Sorry.
Old guard Supernatural.
Old guard. I saw that. I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome. But I guess pulling it all the way back, we just wanted to start with like, when did you get into Supernatural?
Well, I started watching the show pretty much from the jump. And, but I had never been in a fandom before, had no idea what fandom entailed. Like, you know what fans are, but I didn't know there was a quote unquote fandom. So I started looking for the tie-in novels because I thought the show caught me. I've never been caught. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know why, but the show caught me like no other show has ever caught me on television before. And I've been a fan of, like, I watched Star Wars, like the original 3 movies, right? And I always wanted to be Luke Skywalker and, you know, all this stuff. But I'd never been hooked to search out tie-in novels and stuff the way Supernatural did for me. And I found the tie-in novels and I thought, these suck. And so I looked, I'm sorry, but they were bad. And I'm like, there's got to be something better. And that's when I stumbled on LiveJournal and specifically Rather a Story's work, which I know you guys are familiar with. I'm pretty sure anyways. Rather a Story's fix?
No.
Because okay, well, I'll have to introduce you to.
Please
do.
Jen Hurt Comfort, the Fusion Verse. I could have sworn you guys mentioned Fusion Verse at some point. Anyways, I'll float the. Anyways, she's a fabulous writer, and she was my gateway drug into the.
That's fair.
Awesome. So when you say searched out, like, were you already like familiar with stuff like LiveJournal, or was that all like a new thing to you too? Okay,
it was a totally new thing to me. I was not particularly online hard. So I just Googled and it pulled up.
That's amazing too, like to have such an interest that you're like, I'm going to seek stuff out. And I think that's, I mean, being like, I've always considered myself a fangirl of different things over the years. So for me, it wasn't that, you know, big of a stretch to like search for it, but to actually be so invested, you know, like hit like over the head. So How, like, when you say you started watching it from the jump, was it literally like after the first episode that you were like, oh, this is bad. This is going to be like a thing that I'm going to enjoy and I'm going to want to like indulge in.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Okay.
It was from the first episode. I was like, oh, there's something here.
Okay. And
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it Sam immediately too that got you right?
That was my
then?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. Go ahead, you ask it.
You took advantage of me writing something rude. So what was it? You know, was it the bangs and the pretty face, or was it the lips and the short hair that pulled you in first?
It actually wasn't Sam that pulled me. Well, okay. Since you're
this close to losing your ex, Cris, you're this close.
Well, okay. Let's be honest. Dean is really easy to like. He's super easy to like because he's cute. He's a scoundrel. He's got a sense of humor. You know, I mean, there's just he is the prototypical Han Solo character, right?
Yeah.
So at first I was like a little leaning Deanward, but by about the second or third episode, I was like, this poor Sam kid. So. I mean, and also I'm an eldest child, so of four. And so I really resonated with Dean in that respect. But personality wise and the way I function within my family dynamic, I'm very Sam. So I can very much see where both of the guys are coming from. But Sam pretty quickly, because I sort of projected on him, right? And so he pretty quickly became my little avatar on the show. And but I love Dean too. I do love Dean too. And a lot transitioned from the beginning, those first 5 seasons, to the end of the show in terms of how those characters interact and behave. And that's a whole other animal. But I love them both. But it was about the third episode where I'm like, yeah, I'm a Sam girl. Yeah, I pretty much. But I do love Dean too. So there's no real conundrum for me in terms of that. So.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'll let you off with that.
Will you allow it?
Like,
okay, good.
I will allow it. I mean, there's that whole fight scene. It's kind of
Tiger.
difficult.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. No, I'll let it off. I'll let you off with that. You know, because what she didn't do was wait 6 fucking seasons to pick a character and then change your mind on your person. Sandra.
Yeah, I did that. I was brought into the show by Jared from like having seen him on Gilmore Girls. And again, there's a big age difference for me, but I was like, oh, look at this cute kid. He's grown up. He looks really good now. And then
he's real grown.
I was like, let me start watching it. And I think I kind of got the whole, Dean, like, fronting and all that stuff for quite a while. And, but then again, you were saying like eldest, where I'm like the only child, but like, the child that kind of had to do a lot of stuff for, my parents growing up. So I really feel like I was avoiding Dean. I feel like confronting the fact that, oh no, this is my, as they call it, blorbo, which I didn't even know what that meant until a couple of episodes ago. So, but yeah, I love that there's that, again, I think evolution. No. There's that evolution of growth kind of with characters too for some people, or you kind of like let yourself experience a character through the years, which we get with Supernatural that you don't get with a lot of shows. And I think that's
for sure
really important too. What was I stalling about, Kasey? Am I stalling about something in particular? Because I was just going to ask on overall thoughts about the show. I didn't know if you
No. You were stalling on me throwing you under the bus.
Yeah,
Guess which season she gave up on Sam in?
Most people give up on him actually in like 6.
So it's not just me?
What the fuck is wrong with people? He's the best he's ever looked. Did y'all miss the third man? What the fuck?
I think it's jealousy. Let's just call it. It's jealousy.
Oh yeah, no. When you compare that outro, you got to be a committed Dean person to look at that intro and go, no, the little one. That's my blorbo. The little
one. That's so funny.
Oh gosh.
I will say though, I was a Sam person literally from like right out the gate from episode 1 because he had the hair. And I am a fucking sucker for hair. So Dean could be 7 foot tall, and I would have still been like, he's got the hair though. So, but I will say, anybody that sees like Dead in the Water and that incredible, like as Dean comes out of the lake.
Yeah.
And still who was undecided at that point and still goes, nah, it's the bangs for me. Like, props to you, because that is a fucking scene. And, you got to get through that before you get to the balcony leap and play things. So, fair play.
But I should also preface too, like, I started watching it late, right? And when I started watching it, I was there was already quite a bit of age difference between season 1, Sam and Dean, and me. So I kind of also think I just didn't feel comfortable. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
And so I think once season 6 started to happen, I don't know. I think it was like, okay, it's weird. It's weird the way our brains work, but it's just like, no, let's wait a while. And that's like,
I have a question.
Yes.
Were you familiar with fandom goings on with Supernatural before you caught on to the show?
Nope. Knew nothing. Neither one of us knew nothing about it. Nothing. I literally just I kept seeing this thing pop up. I don't know if you've got Netflix, but I kept seeing the screensaver for Supernatural. And eventually it clicked in my head that one of the guys on the screen was from Gilmore Girls. And I was like, oh, wait, that's Jared Padalecki. But then I was like, Supernatural, it's supposed to be horror, scary. It's not really my thing, but okay, maybe I'll give it a try. And that was like back in 2019. I watched a couple episodes with my husband, and I didn't understand what fandom was for Supernatural until like at least 6 months into my watching of it. Cause that's when I really started looking for fan fiction and seeing the YouTube videos and seeing the conventions. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't know what J2 was for the longest time. And I was like, oh, wow. And it's just like, it was amazing. To me, it's amazing that a show was on for so long and still has such an underground feel to it, but has such a following for it, which I think is, I don't know, it's just weird. It's like some people just still don't know about the show, or, Jensen, like, who's Jensen Ackles? Who's Jerry Padalecki? I'm like, what? What
rock do you live under?
But I'm like, oh, wait, I was under that same rock for however many years before I was like, let me give this a try. So, yeah. So again, what about you with fandom? Like, once you started looking into it, did you really understand the scope of the fandom? Or did it take a while?
No. No, I had no idea. I kept to a very tight circle. And like I said, Rather a Story, who she's still on, she's not writing, she's not in any fandoms right now, I don't think, but look up her old Supernatural stuff. She's awesome.
Okay.
And then I also stumbled on Monica Woe, if you're familiar with her.
I have a question for you about Monica Woe. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh no, I feel so out of the loop. Heck. Carry on.
Oh, dude, she's like a hardcore Sam girl. You've got to. She's a Sam girly to her bones. So this is.
Oh yes.
So I stumbled on her stuff, and we become fast friends, and that was kind of my introduction. But I mostly did gen work. I didn't know what shipping was. I had no clue what shipping was.
Okay.
So I sort of started doing summer gen and some of those events that were running out of LiveJournal. And that's kind of how I got introduced to fandom. And eventually I ran out of gen stuff to read. So I sort of like, oh, I don't know about this. What is this Wincest thing? I don't know about this. But I found, I don't know if you're familiar with the writer Pax Lux, who is another old school. Yeah. I'll give you the links for all these guys. And her prose is so poetic and so beautiful. And it's very mild Wincest. It's more Gen-cesty. There's a lot of things that just happen out of the corner of your eye. Things that outsider POVs of like, are these guys? What's up with these guys? And that's the sort of Wincest, if you will, that I like, because I'm a little acey. I don't need a whole lot of graphic stuff in my fix, and so the Gen-cest really pokes that. I don't know what you call it. Flips that bean, if you will.
Yeah, no.
For me, it does it for me. The stuff that I find really, awesome are not the things that are overtly sex. So
you get the taste of it without all the calories, kind of situation.
Yeah, it's kind of, all right. There you go. That works. But I did graduate into shippery from there, because I just ran out of gen stuff to read. But my love that's where I first started, was with and I run summer gen now. So, and I have for the past, probably coming up on 10 years now.
Okay. Can you
So-
talk about
cool.
Summer Gen a little bit about like what that is, what it entails and stuff like that?
It is a gift exchange, and we run it out of archive of our own now because it's so much easier. And you just submit prompts, and then the archive of our own magic matches people prompts to. It's a gift exchange. It's a blind gift exchange, and then
Oh, cool.
everybody, you could do art or you could do fic. We used to do videos, but very few people were doing videos, so we sort of put the kibosh on that.
Okay.
And and it runs. I will usually open it about May-ish, and it'll run through the summer. It was initially supposed to be when hiatus was going on. It was something to do during hiatus. But
Okay.
now, of course, we're on permanent hiatus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still have a nice little core of people that do it. We get about 35 to 40 participants.
Oh, that's
And it used to
great.
be like 120.
Wow.
And I used to do the matches by hand.
Oh, wow.
I used to go through everybody, and it sucked.
Mhm.
But so now that Archive of Our Own has the machine, you push the button, 5 minutes later, everybody's matched up, you set it out. It's brilliant.
That's awesome. I didn't even know that was like a thing that you could do with with
No, me
AO3 and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's an awesome
I didn't
thing.
either until we finally bit the bullet and did it.
That's cool though. That is cool. I like that.
We'll definitely have to. Yeah, if since you said May and stuff, I'll definitely get information on that because we'd love to like put that out too for anybody else who's interested. Now, is it like
You are not making me sign up for another thing.
oh, you already know. We're already like we signed up
I'm
for a
not
lot of
doing that.
stuff. But it's I'm
Sure
I'm
you're not.
noticing now it's like a thing now that I'm starting to learn more about like, these challenges and different things like that. It's like, oh, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that. And it's you start to get this, it's a different sort of creative bug, I guess, because like the prompts, they're not out of your head, but somebody else, it's kind of like, zap them into your brain. It's like it makes you think a little bit differently or outside of, outside of the box a little bit, which is really, really fun to do. But it takes a lot of time. And I imagine running, like you said before, that was a lot of people. And I mean, even now that sounds like a lot, 35. That just sounds like a lot to have to manage.
Too much
It's
stuff.
not. It's so nice. 35 is the sweet spot. It's perfect.
Okay.
It's a nice number.
Okay. So it sounds like no fanfic prior to Supernatural. Fandom in general was kind of like,
Correct.
are you still active on LiveJournal still?
Not really, unfortunately. I
Okay.
mean, there was LiveJournal sort of got caught up because they're run out of Russia. And that got there's a lot of socio-political upheaval. And they would, there was I think you guys might have talked about it before, but there was a banning, a purge of a whole lot of things from Supernatural, or not from LiveJournal. So a lot of us just kind of drifted away from LiveJournal, and other social media forums grew up, like Twitter and Tumblr, and those blew up, and LiveJournal shrunk. And it's just the evolution of social media. Some things, they recede, and other things expand. And so I'm not on LiveJournal too much anymore. I peek in every once in a while because there are still a couple events that run out of LiveJournal that I still do, like the Big Bang, and I think that's pretty much it. But but who knows?
Which Big Bang is that? There's about 1 million now.
Yeah, the original SPN J2 Big Bang,
Right.
the original one that pretty much was. I think it was the first one in the Supernatural fandom, actually.
Yeah.
And it's still run by the same person. And then others spun off of that. But I think that was the big one for a while.
Do you hold the answer then? Why is it called a Big Bang? We don't know. And no one seems to know. Why is it called that?
I don't know. I have no idea. It was going on before I joined it. So before I started doing it. That's a good question. I don't know.
I will track down the person that called it that eventually. I will find it. I'll be like Liam Neeson in Taken. I will find them and I'll be like, why is it called that? I have to know.
Good. Let me know when you find out, because I honestly do not know.
I will. I'll put like a blast out everywhere and be like, I found the answer. That'll be epic.
Cool.
So when LiveJournal, it sounds like it kind of like people kind of like started just having to like this nomadic, like figuring out where else to go. Did you get a lot of it sounds like you probably already had a pretty tight knit, sounds like a community within LiveJournal that then were you able to still hold on to those core group of people, and like whether it was Tumblr or Twitter, and still have that connection, like community wise?
Well, yes and no. Some of them migrated to Twitter, some migrated to Tumblr. Some, I have a private Discord that has just a handful of my buds in there too. So that we can keep tabs on each other and say hi and things like that. But a few of them, I wish I would leave Twitter in a New York minute if I didn't have like Ashtray Thief and Dug in Deep are both, Amy and Ash are both on Twitter still, and Cherie Mort. And those guys, and I love them to pieces. And so I will be on Twitter for them. If they weren't on Twitter, I would be gone in a New York minute. It's such a cesspool. It's horrible for fandom.
I schedule up the episodes to get tweeted out, and then I'm like, lol, no. And I just leave.
Yeah.
And
that's what you do.
Yeah. I engage on Tumblr. I'm too old to learn a new social media, but I've had to now. So I'm like, okay, right, Tumblr's where it's at. Yeah. But also Tumblr comes with much better GIFs and pictures. And I'm here for that, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'll go where the porn is, frankly. If I can see the same Sam GIF like 3 or 4 times in a row, I'm happy. I'll stay there. It's all right.
It's a different place. It's endorphins in a good way. Like I love to see like, all of the like, especially and we'll get into it more, but I feel like Tumblr just seems to be very artistic positive and like artists and stuff. And you get to see so many things from so many different artists from all parts of the fandom that I think are just really, really amazing. And I mean, I would assume being that you are also, not only just a great author, but an amazing artist, that you probably, I would think, maybe kind of leaned more towards Tumblr anyway, or was Twitter?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tumblr's far more, it's image friendly. It's a lot more image friendly. And it doesn't have Elon Musk. I mean, come on.
That's a great selling point for anything.
I mean, poor Tumblr went through the great nipple purge of whatever the year was where you couldn't do anything, couldn't show, but they've sort of realized how dumb that was and how their bots were not catching anything but like fried it. They were catching all the wrong things. So
that's all Tumblr Live was. I was like, what are you guys doing?
I'm so glad Tumblr Live is gone. I'm like, that's just garbage. Come on, you guys. That's just garbage.
Like, I don't want to see that. Turn that off for 30 days, please. And I would keep going back. Turn that off for 30 days. Like, I don't need to see that at the top of my dashboard. I'm like, I'm not here for that. I'm just like, thank God. And it was on Dean's birthday, which was very appropriate when they got rid of it. It ended on Dean's birthday.
I think Dean
would be upset, but I think also it was like a nice thing too, though, that it was
We're doing you a favor, Dean. Trust me. We're doing you a favor, bud.
Oh my gosh. I also wanted to kind of know, so I'm assuming since fanfic did not happen until Supernatural, I am assuming your artwork was something you were doing prior to Supernatural, but am I wrong? Did that also start in Supernatural? Okay.
I'm my day job is art. I'm a professional artist for my day job, which is, I do book covers, and right now I'm trying to get into a lot of gallery shows and things like that. But I've done, some card art for like Fantasy Flight games. Game of Thrones.
Oh, neat. Neat.
I've done a couple of Star Wars cards. I've done not Magic the Gathering, if you're familiar with that. I haven't quite graduated up to those. Those are the big dogs. Those are
Kasey, are you okay? Kasey, are you okay?
I'm just.
About how long have you been in like the art field? Has it been a while?
Forever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's forever. I grew up artistic, and but just like with every artist, you don't usually make a living doing your art, unfortunately. It's better now. Since the internet, it's better now, but then now we've got AI to contend with. So it's backpedaling again. So
are you how are you finding that, like, in terms of dealing with all of that now with the past like couple of years and stuff, with like the influx of like, what is that Mid-Journey and different things like that? Yeah.
Oh, I fight it tooth and nail. I fight it. I am so anti that because I mean, just the quick and dirty, this isn't exactly how it functions, but they scraped images off the internet far and wide without consent, permission, compensation, nothing. And that's how their programs are functioning now.
Yeah. Which is the same thing with like ChatGPT, like people writing romance novels now, basically like they're getting stuff off of AO3. It's just like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
The irony is that ChatGPT learned about Omegaverse from Archive of Our Own.
Oh my God.
So there's no place
Really,
else
though?
it could have earned. Yep, seriously. It knows what it is, and it had to have been scraped from AO3.
Yeah.
It had to have, because that's the only place where that's where that, or LiveJournal.
Yeah.
The only place those two things came from.
Yeah.
Because it originated with the J2 fandom. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we did learn about that. I was like, okay, interesting. Okay.
Isn't that funny?
There we go.
I have to say that, that was part of the fun of joining the Supernatural J2 fandom, that whole milieu, is anything goes.
Yeah.
Like, there was like, you could wave your freak flag any way you wanted to. And they were like, cool. It's changed since, because of the anti-movement, I don't know what you want to call them, but
the stands, like picking one or the other kind of situation that's happening now, like that kind of thing.
No, I think anti's more like just arbitrary hatred towards a character for no reason.
I guess to go back to then the writing and the artwork, did the writing and the drawing kind of start to just go hand in hand? Like, what happened first for you in the fandom? Was it the drawing or was it the writing?
I think the writing did. In fact, I think the first couple of things I wrote were actually Destiel.
Okay.
Oh,
because
that's fine.
Because I think it was some event. I don't remember what it was, but it required me to write a little Destiel, and I did. And so I have participated in the DC Big Bang.
You're writing. When did you actually start writing then? Like, what do you know what year you started writing? It wasn't right as soon as you started watching Supernatural, was it? Or
no.
Okay.
No, I want to say 2009 was the first year I actually worked up the courage to do something for the fandom. Because for the longest time, doing fan art was not really, it was kind of frowned upon, because it is somebody else's IP. It's a very complicated, artists have a very complicated relationship to fan art. And especially now that pop surrealism and pop culture is so big and everybody is doing fan art. Fandom's gift economy is such a treasure. It's such a cool thing. We write for each other because we just love the canon, and we love each other, and that's why we write, and that's why we do art for each other. And I don't like the idea of doing it for pay. Right. It just seems there's just something capitalistic about it that I think hurts fandom.
Yeah, I will say, from the other side, someone who writes but doesn't draw, it's less about capitalism and more about going, oh my God, you've put so much work into this, you deserve to be compensated for your time. It's coming from a loving place, I promise. It is.
No, I completely get it. And we've actually had this discussion with professional artists who have done some fan art, and we asked some art directors, are we allowed to sell fan art? And she said, look, if you can do a one-off original for a client, for a customer, for a commissioner, and that's great. If you get caught by the person who holds the copyright, holds the IP, and they say, stop it, you stop it.
Yeah.
So if you can do a one-off original, and this is just the art, that's fine. That's usually tolerated because it's a little extra marketing for the IP as well. But if they catch you and say, stop it, then you got to stop it.
Yeah.
And
that's
don't
always
do it again.
I wonder about that too, especially like with how it goes from fandom to fandom, but especially like Supernatural, I feel like they feed off of each other. Like they all like feed into it. Like if you don't have the fanfic, if you don't have the fan art, if you don't have this, if you don't have that, it's almost like it's helping fuel all of these things that keep the fandom going. So I feel like at some point they probably, like you said, they'll probably let certain things go until it gets to this point where, oh my gosh, this person's like, doing whatever. Because I see people do like, fanfic calendars, different things like all these like different things that are fan art related. And I'm like,
I don't
people know, but because people are signing. Like that's what I don't understand. Like you're taking stuff that you're doing to a convention, and it's like it's sort of like, well, just be careful, stay in your place. Don't get don't do too much, or else then we're gonna smack your hand and tell you to stop,
That's pretty much what happens.
Mhm.
You can do a few things.
Mhm.
No, sorry, Chris. I don't think Warner Bros owns the CW as they own everything else, and I think the fandom has got them in such a place now where if they were to pick one person and go stop it, they'd have to pick every single one of us, and that's just too much. That's too much lawsuiting. Because
there's a little of that. There's absolutely a little of that. I think it's the scale at which you're actually, for instance, and I won't dox anybody on this, but there was a supernatural artist who did a doujinshi. Is that how they're pronounced? Doujinshi, something like that. Anyway, she did a book that was, she kickstarted it. And it got wildly popular, and there was a lot of money promised to her to create this product, and Warner Brothers found out and sent her a cease and desist, and she had to pull it down. So
that's different. That's different. If you're trying to crowdsource something that is someone else's IP, is vastly different than just, hey, I drew this, or I'm not to diminish the people that do smaller things like that, but that is vastly different. Like I have on my laptop right now, I have stickers of the anti-possession and the angel banishing sigils that I bought from like Redbubble, because you can't, there's no like,
you can't stop
if Warner Bros sell this shit licensed, I'd buy it from them licensed, but they don't.
Well, they do a little bit through Hot Topics. You can go to Hot Topics and they have some license.
Exist over here.
Oh,
get Hot Topic
online, and then you got to pay through the nose for shipping. But I mean, there are a few legit, and like the conventions, for instance, there are certain things you're allowed to sell and certain things you aren't allowed to sell at the conventions as a vendor. Yeah. And sometimes the powers that be will sweep through a convention just to see if the vendors are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And most of the time, the convention doesn't sit too hard on the vendors if they vend stuff they're not supposed to, until the powers that be, till they know the powers that be are going to come through. And then they have to tell a whole bunch of vendors, sorry, half this stuff you're selling can't be out here because the powers that be are showing up. Yeah. And then they get all mad and they're like, well, but it's in the rules. It's in the rules. You're not supposed to sell that stuff. You took a chance. You sold it. Yeah. So and that's one of the reasons that I actually avoid selling fan art unless it's sanctioned. And I will say the only exception to that was I did the covers for Lynn Zubernus's A Family Don't End with Blood, or End in Blood. Oh, I forget which it is. End with Blood. I did the covers for Lynn Zubernus's books. And that was with the blessing of the powers that be. So that's the one exception to that, is I have done book covers with Supernatural on it, but that was done with their
permission. They're okay. Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. My husband decided to send something to my printer, so it started running. I was talking.
I'm sorry. I was Googling frantically because I was like, the one with the actor interviews in it.
Yeah, I have one of those books.
Yes, Lynn's. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of those covers. Yeah.
Those are awesome. I don't have that book. I probably should have that.
I actually use that as when I go to conventions. It's kind of like the yearbook. So I try to get artists, like actors to sign in that, just
in their chapter.
Really? Yeah, in their chapter or their picture or something.
So cool.
So great. Oh my goodness.
You are like legitimately really fucking famous. You're like, yeah, so I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I hide on the internet and I don't tell anybody.
Oh gosh.
Well,
I'm screaming.
But okay, so we've got still some more stuff to talk about, and I thank you for taking time for this. But I wanted to ask too, so around what time did you actually started to get involved in the challenges and prompts and bangs? Was it still on LiveJournal? So was that like maybe like 2000, I'm guessing
2010.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. How do you feel that a big bang sort of differs from like an author's to an artist's side of the collaboration? Because you've seen it from both sides. So does it depend too? Like if you're doing a big bang or a reverse bang, and then like does it get flipped a little bit? I didn't know if you could talk a little bit about
absolutely. That. It's always stressful to be the person on the end. Like when you're doing a big bang, that's the fiction part. And then you have to submit a summary, and then the artists vie for the best summary to do art for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always stressful on those days because they go really fast. If you're not familiar with it, what happens is the author submits a summary, and then all the summaries are posted anonymously, so you don't know who's writing what.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mod will hit the go button on LiveJournal, and all the artists frantically try to post, I want number 7, I want number 8, I want number 12, I want, and it just goes like lightning. And all of a sudden you refresh your page once and there are 59 claims.
Wow.
And so and then she's got to try to keep track of all that. And it's very stressful for the authors, because what if you don't get claimed that, what if you're one of the ones that your summary wasn't that great for whatever reason?
No, I had my experience too with like my first sort of like mini bang. It was a Dean Winchester big bang, and it was very small, but I did give it a try. It was my first one. And I was very worried too about like getting picked or not, because you're just not sure, you don't know you don't know how many artists are into what and what you're going to write that's really going to like pique somebody's interest and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's very stressful. And I've done that. And in fact, there used to be a Gen Big Bang, and I did that one, and nobody picked my summary ever. And so I had to go, and I had a friend who has since left the fandom, but she's still a buddy, and she went by Beck J. And so I emailed Beck J and I said, hey, nobody's going to pick nobody's picking my summary. Would you like to sign up and do art for my Jen? And she's like, sure. And so she signed up on the fly and said, I want that one. And she made me the most gorgeous art, and it was so much fun. But so my heart totally goes out to the authors when you're not the kid. It's like being the last kid picked for softball or for kickball. And but I'm a grown ass adult, and I've been through art school, and we get rejection all the time. So it's kind of like, whatever, sometimes you're not rejected for your own reasons. It's for it's for other reasons. So you're just like, whatever. So I just went out of the box a little bit and said, hey, Beck, could you do my art? And she's like, absolutely. And so I had more fun.
On the topic of big bangs and things like that, this is a listener question that is a bit earlier in the question list than it would be. Oh, I didn't tell you about this. Sorry. That's cool. No, it might have been in the group chat, Sandra. I don't know if it was in the group chat or in the other chat. But me, Sandra, and my beta Dreamer, who, if you've listened to any episodes, I've been talking about her for like a year now.
Yes.
Yeah, we signed up for the Wincest Big Bang.
Okay, cool.
And our listener, who shall remain anonymous, but I'm sure everyone can guess who it is, would like to know if we could tempt you to sign up for the Wincest Bang as an artist.
As an artist. I have done it in the past. The problem is right now I'm super ding dang busy, and that's part of, like, when you join a fandom and all these cool events come up, you get FOMO, something fierce, right? You don't want to miss out on anything. And so I kind of burned myself out by doing way too much.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, I have to really be careful what I'm picking and choosing to do.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, probably not, but we'll see. I'll pop over there and take a peek at it and looking when the dates are. I'll have to look at, and I also turned 60 this year. So we're going to go, we're going to have a big, I know I'm an old fart, believe me. And so we're having a lot of fun this year doing all the things that I want to do.
Nice.
That's amazing.
That's so nice. That's awesome.
I feel so
maybe not
little.
this year.
Okay.
You guys are babies. Believe me, you're babies.
Well, not that far.
Sandra would disagree with you on that.
I just turned 50 too, so it's like,
okay.
High
five.
High five for 50. High five for 60. Yay!
I'm about to turn 33.
Yeah, you're the baby out of the group
okay,
right now.
baby.
Yeah, you're the baby. So
that's
We'll see.
Yeah,
I'll go take a peek at it and see when the dates are. We'll see.
But you know what might be actually like a really good question too is, like, when we're thinking about doing it again, like, this is kind of like my first. I've only written one Wincest before this, so
I bully her into these things.
I'm going to give it a try.
Me.
But like, in terms of summary, like from an artist's point of view, like I was saying to Kasey and Dreamer that, just having done the Dean Winchester like mini bang, it's like it's almost like you have to kind of pull out of your story the imagery that you think might sort of, like, even a couple scenes that you think might really get someone's interest in drawing it and stuff like that. I mean, I I would assume that's,
Absolutely.
from an artist's point of view, like just hearing, like, you don't want to get the summary from like a reader's perspective, but like from
Right. No,
what's happening
absolutely.
in this thing. And so I'm really like trying to go like way out of the box and like, I'm trying to think of like, I'd really like to do something with Sam as like a warlock or something like that, because I just love him with the magic and stuff, but I have no idea what that is. So we're going to brainstorm that kind of stuff. But I know that from an artist side of it, I would think that, the just to seeing it and then going, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And there's a lot going on. You have to be really quick when you're reading those summaries too.
Right. Don't be, I would just say, don't be too long, but hit the visuals. Just hit the visuals hard. This is a fantasy AU. Tell people that, Dean is the knight, Sam is the warlock, or, whatever. Yeah. Don't even worry about what the reader might entertain. Just totally, what would you want on your cover? I mean, that's like, as an author yourself, what does your cover need to do for the reader to entice them to buy your book? That's how I feel you should do for the summaries for your bangs. Is tell the artist what you need. What the thing, that's what you do. You got it. You understand. You got it.
Well, I think
I'm gonna outsource mine to you then, Sandra. Because I never write anything with art in mind, because it's never like it's never been a thing. And the prompt that I have been given for this bang is very like cyber relationship. So I'm like, I don't even know.
Wow.
So
like,
my experience with like small press publishers was they would give you almost like an artist cover sheet, right? And you would fill out like, and I'm sure you've had to deal with this a lot, where you get like information on what the character, well, it's easy to know what the characters look like here, but it's also like certain traits, certain characteristics, what the setting is, what the location's like, and like any like special things. I mean, knowing now about your cover art and what you do, I can see, just looking through a lot of the art you did for a lot of the different bangs, they do look like book covers. Like I've just started reading Fighting for Gravity, and that first one,
I love that one.
Yeah,
that's such a good one too. Kelly is such an awesome. I love her.
I was just like, I started looking at it. I was like, this just looks like a book cover. And I was like, okay, it is kind of like a book cover in the beginning. So that makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, no, I think, don't worry, Kasey. I think between the three of us, I think we can all figure it out.
But I don't they're gonna meet up at the end, but I like even the concept of it in my mind, I'm like, I don't even know what I would show, for this thing. So
I think
I'm gonna outsource it to you.
I would also add, what is the vibe of the book? Is it angsty? Is it schmoopy? Is it like a upbeat contemporary romance? Is it dark? That's also something else, because I tend to gravitate towards more angst. It's so funny. For my own reading preferences, I gravitate towards angsty and hurt, comfort, heavy on the hurt, and blood and horror and all that stuff. But if you looked at my art, like all my friends write contemporary romance for them. And so all my stuff is fluffy and happy and romantic and sexy. And
but do you prefer to draw that though? Or is it just a reading preference?
Do I prefer to draw
heavy,
romance?
Angsty? No, yes, heavy, angsty, bloods, that kind of stuff. I come at, because I've been a graphic artist, a commercial artist for so long, and having to draw book covers, I really enjoy getting the prompts and trying to tailor my art to what the job it's supposed to do. So I like them both. I do like all. If it's supposed to be horrific, I love doing that. If it's supposed to be schmoopy and romantic or sexy, I love doing that. I look at it differently. Writing and arting are two entirely different disciplines in my brain for me. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So how do you do those simultaneously? Have you ever had to do both at the same time, like with a bang? Like, have you been the author and the art? Okay, well, how?
And it's crazy. It's crazy, Macon. It is. But it really does, though. You use different parts of your brain. You absolutely do. It's all creative. Like, I feel that people are either very technical brained or creative brained. That tends to be just from my family. My husband is very much an engineer, and he's very a technical brain, and he doesn't create well at all. But I think it exercises different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
So I can't hold them together and separately at the same time, but it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it, because I think the artist that I ended up getting paired with, because again, I had something where I had an artist but then didn't get any communication back from them. And then the mods, like said, we've had to pull them, but we've got a pitch hitter. And, that person ended up working out really well. And it was great to like collab with her. And then she was also telling me, oh yeah, I'm also doing like this Dean cast one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're writing and you're drawing. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this is crazy. This is insanity. This is potentially an ignorant question, and I apologize in advance. But you see, the thing was, I said, no, I'm definitely going to read some of quickreaver stuff before the interview. And then Sandra got onto Zoom and she was like, so I read this last night, and I read that, and I was like, I read nothing. I'm real sorry. I took a scroll through your Tumblr for your art, but I read nothing. So I'm very sorry.
Oh,
but do you? I'll do it tonight though. Like I say I'm going to read, and then I don't. But then I speak to the author and I'm like, please, I need everything injected right into my eyeballs immediately. So like you'll just see like a list of like kudos from me later on, and you'll be like, oh no, they really did go and read all that.
Awesome. No, that's great.
Do you make art for the fics that you write, or do you keep like that completely separate and you have other people make art for your stuff if it has art at all? And again, sorry if it's ignorant.
I know it's not ignorant at all. I have done very little art for my own fics, which is. It's because I've had to write it, and how the sausage gets made, right? When you're writing something, you know all the struggles you went through to get things to work and all that. And by the time I'm done writing it, I'm done with it. I put it out there.
That's Kasey.
It's finished when I hate it.
Yes, exactly. I just can't look at it anymore, and it just goes out there. Every once in a while, I might do a banner, but I'm usually doing a photo manip kind of banner for that kind of thing, just something that doesn't take a whole lot of effort. But that's a goal of mine, actually. That's one of these days I'd love to do a graphic novel out of one of my short fics. Just to see if I can do it, just as a challenge. It would be really cool. It would be fun, but it's work, man. Those graphic novels are work. Try to get a consistent style and consistent depiction of the characters throughout the whole thing. That's hard.
Yeah, no, that's like writing a really big fic, and the mood you were in when you started it is not the mood you're in 10 writing sessions later on. And you're like, this is a roller coaster of tone. What the fuck? Yeah.
That is true. That's what's so fun about co-writing, though. If you ever get a chance, like I used to co-write with Monica Woe every once in a while, and we did great together. We were great co-writers, and that was super fun. And it allowed for us to be consistent over the longer fics that we wrote.
We really need to get back on that, Sandra.
I know.
Because we don't have enough shit. We haven't piled enough shit on our plates at the moment. We're just like, no, we should do this as well.
Yeah, we've got that on the back burner too. But again, I think figuring out just time is like, at a premium too. So and life, life, like you said, life gets in the way, and it kind of it takes zaps a lot of your creativity and just gives you only so much time to do that. Yep. And now that we've done now we're signed up for all these other things, Kasey. So I don't know when we're going to do the other stuff anytime soon.
Well, see, before we even look at that, I got to find a Sam Winchester bingo or a Jared bingo.
Oh, yeah.
Because, all right, you didn't haul me into it, but you kind of did a little bit by making it sound so cool.
Oh, you mean I did a bingo. I'm doing a bingo. It's Jackals. It's like Jackals verse. So it's like a bunch of different characters that Jensen Ackles has played. Oh, cool. And Kasey's like, well, I guess I'm going to do it now too. And I'm like, okay, I didn't push. like a fucking idiot when we were recording the episode discussing Sandra's thing. I was like, oh, well, if they open up signups again, like I'll sign up, I'll do it. And then they opened signups like 3 days later, and I was like, oh, dicks, fuck.
I've gone and said it now.
Yeah. I was like, well. Oh, my ass has written this check. My mouth has to fucking cash it now. So, and as we've established, Sam is 1000% my blobbo. So the only way I can write any of these things is to just not have Sam be in them at all, because otherwise he will steal the show, because he is my baby and he's never done a thing wrong a day in his life. And that's tiring. That's tiring.
Are there any that you know of, Cris, that are still kind of like around, or is a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the Sam-centric stuff, does it still kind of happen on LiveJournal more, or?
No, I'd say probably on Tumblr. Okay. I'd say your best bet is Tumblr, especially the bingos. There's a lot of bingos.
I'll find one.
Yeah.
If I find one, I find one, I'll float it your way. It's, a lot of the fandom events are kind of ebbing now that we don't have a live canon.
Yeah.
And I don't consider the Winchesters part of our canon. So I don't do anything to Winchesters, but the events are ebbing. That's all I can say. There's a couple really cool ones that I really like. And I will only participate in events that are pro ship. That's something that I feel very strongly about. So if there's any event where it sounds cool, but then I read their rules, and buried into their rules is, but you can't write. Basically, if you're not welcoming everybody in fandom, I don't want any part of you. So that's
fair. Yeah.
So I will limit myself to those events. I will not participate in events that don't do that. So
okay.
No, I think that's fair. Yeah.
I'm going to go through a couple more things because I know we've got some Kasey questions, but I kind of wanted to jump into some of your writing, and I know some of these are old, so I do apologize if your memory. It's totally fine, totally fine if you can't remember. But I found a few that I was really. So one of them was, and she was, it was the one where Sam gets turned into a female for like a short period of time. It's really short. I didn't know if you had any inspiration for that one in particular, like when you came about that, or again, it's okay if you don't remember, because I think it's been a while.
It has been a while, but I have always been interested in body modifications and metamorphosis. I think metamorphosis are an interesting theme because it tells you, in changing something that is the status quo of any given canon, it allows you to explore it, I think. And so I just thought the gender switch, I guess. I don't know what the actual term for it is now, would be interesting to explore. And that's pretty much it. And I think that I hope that it did some of the things that the best Supernatural episodes do well, and that's provide a little angst and a little humor. And that's all my stuff is usually, a little angst and a little humor.
It did.
No, I like that one a lot, especially like I thought the POVs, you just got the characters, I feel like, so right, like going back and forth between them. I'm a sucker for anything that's got a little bit of Dean POV in it too. So I was just like, I
love writing Dean POV. I have to say that he is my favorite POV to write from. And I have to, it's so sad. I'm such a Sam girl, but I have to force myself to write from Sam's POV. It's so, maybe it's just too close to the bone or something. I don't know. But I love writing in Dean's POV, but I am going to work more on writing from Sam's POV too, because I think he's underestimated as a point of view character a lot of times.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I adore writing from Sam's POV 100% of the time, because when I write from Dean's POV, he ends up getting banned from having a POV. Because he has a tantrum and he sits down and he refuses to do anything and he smashes stuff up and he fucks off for a week, and I'm like, babe, we got to write this. I need you to come back and get your shit together because we need to do this. So he has been banned twice now from being allowed POVs in my work, and somehow I keep fucking worming his way back in there, and I go, it doesn't fucking make sense to write this from Sam's point of view, so fine, get in the car, fine.
Yeah, well, sometimes it gives you an opportunity to see, like, again, step outside, and see the character that you're wanting, and to see how it's being perceived. So I think it's great when you go back and forth, because it's this other one, which I was just, again, I was reading, I was trying to find some of the shorter ones to read, but I found Rabbit Scream, and that was
oh wow, that's
season
a really
7
old one.
You and Kasey, I believe, have an affinity for season 7 Sam dealing with Lucifer. It feels like, because the imagery in that one in particular, I really did. And again, I don't know if the artist part of you sort of assists when you're writing. Like, are you getting an image in your head that then you're wanting to expound on when you're writing it? Because it just felt like an artist was just like, going to town, like in the beginning, like with the running, and I felt like you were getting into their inner dialogue without using a lot of this is how he's feeling, like you were interspersing it with so much stuff that he was dealing with and all of that it was really powerful. I really did.
Thank you so much.
I really did like that one. There's this one line in it that I have to read, because I was just like, this just says everything about the scene and Sam, and it was just a really simple line. He had the defeated posture of an old scarecrow, half empty of straw, but stubbornly held together by bent twigs and old habits. I was just like, oh my God. It was just Like that was like poetry to me when I read it. And there were lines like that throughout. And for somebody who hasn't been writing for as long as you've been, drawing, I was just like, that was amazing. So yeah, and again, it's just like, I think it's rated mature, but again, there's no shipping, and there is like a small Dean POV, with Bobby in the truck, which is great, and then it bounces back, and you get Lucifer on point and all that kind of stuff. So I was that was great.
Was that the one with the deer in it?
Yes, and the rabbit. Yeah, the deer and the rabbit. Yeah.
See me in your comments in a few hours because I haven't read that one. I've read And She Was, and I really like that. I kudos it, but I didn't comment, so I will go back and comment. But see me in your comments in a few hours for that one, and also the next one that Sandra's going to talk about. Now, but I'll let her talk about that.
The next one was very short too, but when I saw it, I felt like Kasey might have feelings about it, and it was also it was very short but very well written. But it was Shorn, where Sam's in the hospital and he gets. And I was like, have you ever drawn a shorn Sam that you have not shown to anybody? Have you ever thought about doing anything like that? Like in terms of that imagery of him in the hospital, which Kasey's all about, give me all the broken down, sweaty, exhausted Sam.
But then, with fucking hair, please. That's a key factor.
Yes, it is. And that was the point of the fic. That was the point of the whole story, was that how much his hair is him. That's I mean, there's long metas about why Sam keeps his hair the way he does. Go to Tumblr and
because his wife likes it like that. That's it. And he was like, well, you've established Sam has the hippie hair now, so and my wife likes it like this.
Well, I suspect there is more to it show wise, but
yes, I agree.
No, that was the whole point of the fic, was the hair.
No, the pair of you. No. But there's don't you talk like you didn't just post cutting Jensen's hair off.
I did just cut Jensen's. Well. I did just cut Dean's hair.
Being traumatized by people.
Yeah, because I am of the, and I've gone on ranted about this. There's something about seeing Jensen with short hair like Dean that I really want to see again. And it's one of those reasons why I will hold out hope that they eventually do something, because the Winchesters doesn't count because he didn't cut his hair all the way. They just redid it. That wasn't.
I don't think he cut it all. I think they styled it.
No, they just styled it, but it wasn't. It wasn't a Dean thing. And I just feel like those haircuts for both of them really bring out the character. Like I want to see that.
Totally
so I was like,
agree.
well, I'm going to write it because it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, then you will also get a breakdown comment in your in your comments, Cris, and I'll be like, how could you do this?
All right, well, tell you what, I'll draw something from that fic just to gall you. Just to be like,
we were friends, man. Why?
Anyways, we'll see what you say. No,
but I really did think, like, in terms of, it was still following canon, but that little addition to it that I thought was really interesting to explore a little bit in that. It's very short. I think it's only like a little over 2K or whatever, but it was really good.
Sandra should hopefully back me up that after I've done wailing and gnashing my teeth in your comments, I will be very complimentary about it, because I can 100% see the thought process behind how truly diminished Sam would be without his hair. I just need to cry a little bit first. Like I'm sure not.
Many people did, yes, for that too. Yeah,
I'm still not 100% over him cutting his hair for Walker, and that was like 4 years ago. So I'm still hurting about that. So, and then she came along and cut Jensen's hair, and I'm like, he's got the beautiful bangs, man. What the fuck is wrong with you? He's beautiful. Yeah. And she's like, I just missed the Dean hair. And I'm like, but it's fucking beautiful. Why?
Miss Dean. I just like, again, I just feel like,
I do miss Dean. Yeah.
I miss Dean. I miss the Dean hair. Absolutely. I'm with you on that.
And while I am proudly hair kink, no, why would you think that? No. I love seeing the way other people connect to this physical feature and how they view it. So I will come and I will wail and cry in your comments, and then I will be lovely and complimentary. So please don't draw shaved head Sam and taunt me with it. Pretty please.
Okay.
I'd just really enjoy it if you didn't do that.
Oh goodness. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of your art because again, I was looking through Tumblr and like getting some stuff to look at. But Kasey got a really big kick out of Dick in a Box that you just recently posted.
It's really funny.
It's really good. It's really good.
I love that one.
I'll be honest, I was expecting, like, I know that you don't draw anything like massively not safe for work, but I was expecting, that stereotypical, the guy with the love heart chocolate box on his lap, and he's like, oh, take a middle and it's full of cream. My husband definitely gave me a Valentine's Day card with that on it one year. Definitely.
Oh.
So that was what I was expecting. So when I opened it up and I was like, it's an actual head in a box. Loved it. Loved it.
Oh.
Cool.
And then the Valentine's Sam, I think the one that you just posted that had a little bit of animation, I think by Monica Lowe.
Yeah.
The hair and everything was just beautiful. It was just great. I just loved everything about that. And I guess another one of my questions was, I just saw so many collabs with Monica Lowe. So, are they also not only an author but an artist? So is it like, or how does that work? With, like, the two of you?
Monica's primarily an author.
Okay.
But she figured out how to do gifting before I did.
Okay.
So that's why she got, I have since figured it out. But at that point, she's like, I'll do it. So I'm like, okay, cool. But she's one of my favorite collaborators in the supernatural fandom because she's a hardcore Sam girl too. She really loves the Boy King Sam and the idea of taking those things that are monstrous about yourself and about Sam in this case, and turning that to your benefit. It really resonates with her, and it resonates with me too. So we really enjoy working on that aspect. The show, I think, comes at many things from Dean's point of view. I think he becomes our point of view character for a lot on the show, on the official TV show, and that sometimes colors how the show looks at Sam.
Right.
And this is just my personal opinion, but I've had other people sort of reflect this too.
No, yeah, I think it's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the show will more often posit Sam's decisions as the wrong ones and Dean's decisions as the right ones, in part because it keeps the show going. Like if
there has to be conflict, right? Like if there's no conflict, it's not going to keep going. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And but the frustration for some of us Sam girls is that Dean's like when the Mark of Cain and Possessed by Michael and the Demonhood, they didn't go whole hog on how bad those things were and have Dean be punished for those things the way they did with Sam. Like Sam was endlessly punished for being soulless, and it wasn't even his fault, right? He didn't even it wasn't his option to come back soulless.
Yeah.
And yet the show posited that as a really bad thing, and it wasn't even Sam's fault. And yet Dean can have the Mark of Cain, and he can have the Michael possession, which he volunteered for, and the Demonhood coming off them. And they had like 3 episodes of Demon Dean, and then it was all done, and there was very little fallout from that.
Yeah.
So I think the show had lots of fallout for poor Sam and very little fallout for Dean as a rule. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they just decided that 3 episodes was as much as the audience wanted to see of any one of their boys being bad, right?
That is categorically not true. I would have taken a whole half a season of Demon Dean, all of it.
I would have too. I was so, I'm like, go lean in. And then it was done.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. However, the scene with him chasing Sam through the bunker with the hammer, oh my God, was that good?
Yeah.
That was a very, very good scene. And if I recall, that's one of the ones that Jensen directed too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I'm like, he knew how to, that was good.
What the question that I think a lot of us want to ask, and it's pointless to ask it now because it's so long ago, Jensen will be like, what scene? But why when there was a knife held to his throat, was the acting choice he made sexual? Why was that, Jensen?
Hammer? Actually, somebody asked him that at a convention. I'll have to look up the answer, but I think he was like, because it would hurt more because it was brutal. He knew that it was way more brutal than the knife. And I thought that was a good instinct right there, because that really made the scene. I thought that was such a good choice. Such a good choice.
And we got such a great blooper from it as well. Why'd you come after me with a hammer?
Nail you.
Because I was going to nail you. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I think the other one I wanted to touch on, it's a Monica Woe collaboration, was Last Day in the Land of Nod.
Yeah, we never finished that. Darn it. It was my fault we didn't finish that.
But I mean, even
it's beautiful though.
Just those like graphic novel like panels were just amazing, and the detail and the storytelling within that was really, really amazing. I mean, I think you salvage the Sama fursuit and you make it into this amazing thing. It's beautiful. Everything about it was just extraordinary.
Cool.
And then the back and forth. Yeah.
I'll tell Monica you said so. This was something we decided to do. It was based on one of her short stories,
Mm-hmm.
I think of the same title, if I recall. And she found a how to write comics.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did all the writing
Mm-hmm.
and she planned out the beats and planned out what should go in what cell. And then I looked at it and said, no, that's too much. We can't put that all in one cell, or that's too much dialogue. We need to condense that. So we worked together on that and then tried to add a little gifting, a little animation here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I lost steam on that. That was totally my fault that we didn't. She had the whole script written, but that's why I say it's a lot of work to do that. I have such respect for comic artists because doing a whole page of comics is a lot of freaking work. And I just lost steam on it, but that was another thing that I wish we had finished. But Monica is just a brilliant writer, and you give her any challenge and she's up to it, and she'll do it.
That's awesome.
I even if it is unfinished, I love where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real it could go either way. And also his eyes, because they're sunflower eyes, and they must be so difficult to try and draw and color. And it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Then the last one I wanted to shout out because I'm sorry.
I got told off for this one.
I mean, I know that you do not write. You don't draw like anything explicit or whatever. But from the artwork for Sam I Am by Amber Dreams, the shower scene is amazing. It's amazing, and it reminds us of. There's a literal story that our friend Dreamer. In the West series, there's a scene like that, and when we saw that image, we were like, "It's like
oh my God,
one I
perfect.
never tried." It's like it fits like perfectly with like this other story that we've read and loved and adored. And I was just like, "It's just you do so much good things for the fandom." Thank you.
We are so grateful. We are truly blessed.
You.
Yeah.
Amber's a great writer too. Amber is actually an excellent writer and artist too. She's pretty amazing. Should have her on sometime. She's fun too. She's a Brit and she's very sassy.
Woo,
and she'd be a lot of fun to.
Okay.
She'd be a lot of fun to interview.
Well, as long as we can reach out and say, Cris told us.
Absolutely.
We'll give it a try. We'll give it
absolutely.
Maybe
she'll be game.
That'll get us an in.
Amazing. Yeah, I got told off for posting that picture in our Discord.
I was like, no, that goes in not safe for work.
Sandra was like, we have a whole fucking channel for this. What are you doing?
We have rules, Kasey, and you're not following them.
Yeah,
well, I will confess to you guys that I do have a nom de plume, an alter ego that posts things that are a little racy, but I will not out myself here.
That's fine.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. We just appreciate that what you were able to share with us.
Yeah.
Is awesome.
We are fully grateful for anything you are willing to share with us. It's incredible, whether it's it's not safe for work or it's completely Jen. It's beautiful every which way. So
yeah, it's
we're
awesome.
So grateful.
It's awesome. Kasey, did you want to ask? Did you want to ask the username thing also?
Yeah, it's my go. It's my go. If you want to share, you don't have to. But this is in the rotation as things that we ask all guests now. How did you come up with your username? Because cool.
Well, that is from my husband and I met when we were LARPing. So we are dyed-in-the-wool nerds, and
Cool.
We had a bunch of friends that we would LARP with, and we wanted to be a group of assassins that nobody knew were assassins. So we came up with a name for our group, and it was the Quickreavers. A friend of mine thought it up because quick for like the quickening is life, right? And reading is reading. So we called ourselves the Quickreavers, and then we would come into various LARPs as this group of Quickreavers, and nobody knew that we were actually a group of assassins and had purses and pickpockets, and it was a lot of fun until people figured it out.
That's so cool.
We were like, who's going to be at the game? Oh, no, man. And then they knew that the whole group of people coming in, they'd have to watch their backs. They'd have to watch their purses. Anyway, so that's where it came from. And when I first got online, which many, many moons ago, I was a little wary of letting people know that I was a woman online because, well, I initially wanted to really get into sci-fi, fantasy, horror, especially art. And there just weren't people, there just were not women doing horror art. I mean, I would challenge you to go back 20 years and tell me a single female artist that did horror art. There aren't any because, I mean, 20 years, a lot has happened in 20 years in the art community. If you were a fantasy artist 20 years ago and you were a female, they just expected you to do fairies and striped stockings. Like that's what you got. That's what you did. And so I thought it would behoove me to not let that be known online. And most people did think I was just male online. And that was fine with me. I didn't mind one way or the other. What does it matter what I am? You like my art? Take it. And so I didn't want their impression of what a female artist was supposed to be influence what they thought of my art. And so I used quickreaver online many, many, many years ago, just so they wouldn't know. So they wouldn't make those come into the relationship with the preordained ideas about what. Yeah. So that's where it came from. And then I just adopted it into fandom because I did. And then
screen names are hard. Who's thinking up a new screen name for everything?
Yeah. So I have that one. That's it. I have the one, and then I have my name, and that's that.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you. Okay, it's my go again. Yeah, I have questions. Lots of questions now. Again, if you don't know the answer to this question, it's totally cool. But adults don't ask other adults this question enough. So I am on a one-person mission to remedy that. What is your favorite dinosaur?
I kind of like, oh gosh, you know what? As a kid, I guess it would be the Triceratops. As a kid, I loved them. I don't know why. I just thought they were cool looking. So I go back to my third grade self and say Triceratops.
That's absolutely fine. There's no right or wrong answer. Like, we've had people name things that aren't even dinosaurs, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's just like, when you're little, and like children do this to adults. Like, I like children ask me what my third favorite dinosaur is, and I'm like, fucking sweet.
Third favorite.
Yeah, but adults don't ask other adults anymore. Something happens when you hit like 12 and you're like, well, we're done with dinosaurs now. And I'm like, no, they're still cool though. No, they're still cool though.
Well, my third favorite is pterodactyl. So there you go.
Okay. Sweet. I love the fact that you have. What's the second then? I have to know now.
Probably the T-Rex.
Okay.
Yeah. They're bombastic. They're big. They're
classic.
Got little, cute arms and stuff.
Yeah, with the little arms,
little wee arms,
little baby
vestigial arms.
Yes, cool. Right, there we go. I'm gonna have to start making a table before people answer that question. I need more
yes,
tables.
you are. I'm not making a table for that. That's your job.
Well, really? Please make me a table. Why are you like this? Alrighty. Listener question this time. Same listeners before, so it's really not a fucking secret who it is. But this listener would like to know if there is a favorite feature of Sam and Dean that you like to draw. This person's focus when they're looking at your art has been drawn to eyebrows quite a lot, which I will tell you, if you know anything about this person, that is a weird thing for them to focus on and way out there. So like your eyebrows are bombastic. Seriously.
Your listener is spot on. I love doing their eyebrows, especially because it says so much about the expression on the face. So actors, actresses, don't get Botox. Please don't get Botox. I like it when your eyebrows move. They say so much about your expression. And of course, Jensen's that one eyebrow that he quirks up. Okay.
And Jared's got that little that wrinkly arch in the middle.
The little wrinkly arch, the little puppy eyes,
Do you know what my husband calls that wrinkle of Jared's? He calls it the pie sign. He says it looks like a pie sign. When he wrinkles it a certain way, he says it looks like a pie sign.
Yeah. We call it, that's how Sam gets his Wi-Fi. That's his Wi-Fi signal.
That's great. That is awesome.
That's why he always has Wi-Fi. Nowhere in a barn, and he's like, I'm looking up on the internet.
Let's face it, Sam is a hotspot. Let's go.
Okay. That's all good.
Oh, that's perfect. That listener will be thrilled with that answer. They really will. I already reported back your answer. I already reported back your answer on the bang and got back, oh, that's our loss. But thank you for asking.
Oh, goodness.
Oh. Okay, this is the last one from me. I have to put all my questions in together because they never link into anything else. So I'm like, I'll go at the end. I'll ask my questions at the end.
Cool.
Is there anything that you are currently working on? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but if you've got any like whips, anything, anything happening that listeners could be on the lookout for.
A couple things. One of the things I'm writing for Hosier Natural. So
wait a minute, what now?
What is that?
Hosier? You know who Hosier is, right?
The
singer?
The singer, yeah. I know.
Am I pronouncing his name wrong? I probably am.
No, you're not. I just had to think then. Take Me to Church dude.
Oh, yes, okay. The Take Me to Church dude. That dude.
Yes.
There is a bang. They started their inaugural one was last year, and this year they're running again. They're doing Hosier Natural, where you pick a Hosier song and you do something set to one of those songs. I believe they're running it more like a traditional bang this year. So you submit a summary and the whole thing. So I'm going to try to write for that. Okay. And I'm not going to spill any beans on that because that's against the rules. I'm also, there's a couple things that I've been bouncing around in my brain that I want to run for the fandom. And one of them is potentially doing a zine that is dedicated to Americana and that sort of the seasons 1 through 5 vibe. I'm still trying to work out the details of that. But the one thing that I really want to run this year, there used to be 2 communities on LiveJournal. There was OSAM and Hoodie Time. Are you guys familiar with those?
No, but like
it's LiveJournal now.
Probably guess.
They were dedicated groups. They're dedicated communities that would run events periodically that were prompt memes. You just leave a prompt and whoever wants to fill it can fill it. And the focus is Hurt Comfort. So Hoodie Time was all about Dean. He was the center of Hurt Comfort, and OSAM was he was the focus of the Hurt Comfort. And we used to run kind of in tandem. And I have friends that ran Hoodie Time, and then I ran OSAM, and Rather a Story runs. And people periodically come up to me and say, "Oh man, I miss those. I miss those." So I'm kind of thinking this year of getting with one of my Dean buddies and saying, "Let's run a tandem: OSAM Hoodie Time, Hurt Comfort, Prompt Fic Art thingy, Fiesta Fest." And so I think that may come up in the summer, maybe.
Okay, but you're still going to do summer gen, right? Because you said that's
yes, as of right now, I will. But my birthday's in the middle of summer, so I might have to give it a pause this year. We'll see. We'll see. But
birthdays is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a biggie. So I may not do it this year. I might put it on pause for 1 year and then come back next year. Yeah, I actually think I'm going to do that. I'm going to give it a pause this year so I can enjoy my birthday, and then next year I'll be back bigger, harder, stronger, faster.
Yeah. If you run Hoodie Time and OSAM though, like I'm just watching my calendar fill up, going fuck.
Well, the good thing about that is it's just a prompt fill beam, so there's no obligation. There's just like you leave some prompts, maybe someone will fill it. Those are just fun, low stress, low. You could fill it if you want to, don't if you don't.
Yeah, you think that. You think that.
Well, we haven't. So
blessed with the ability to make everything high stress.
But when we had Amy and Ash on, and they basically like gave us a rundown of like SPN Masquerade, which is is kind of like has that too. So it's like again with the prompts and things, you don't. Where we're signing up to do a bang or to bingo, like again, bingos aren't really super stressful either, but you're putting this you're putting the stress on yourself. You've got all these prompts and you're figuring it out. But a bang, I feel like is much more you're collaborating with someone, so there's this teamwork responsibility that you don't want to let your partner down, kind of a situation. I think that becomes it's more stressful. It's more responsibility. I mean, that's another one of the reasons why I've kind of eased off doing bangs a lot, because it was a lot of stress and responsibility, and you never know who you're going to wind up working with sometimes. And sometimes it's wonderful. I met a lovely person through the reverse bang, and we're friends to this very day. And she was a Destiel shipper, and she picked my art that was not Destiel. And she's like, I thought, am I going to get yelled at? Am I going to get in trouble? I was worried about that too, because I was like, when I know that the artist, I was like, but again, like I tried to make it like more general, like, so like kind of like, I just didn't want to like step on anybody's toes. And I'm like, but so that, I think that's a thing too, where when you go into certain bangs, there's that overall, well, if it's Wincest, you kind of know what you're up for. Like, like those kind of like would probably weed that stuff out. But, I don't think, I think it's great to have those different experiences, but yeah, you're not always going to make lifelong friends, but it's like, the experience of what you learn from it too. I think that's really important. Yeah.
And it is a little frustrating, like, especially for the reverse bang when you're the artist. And there have been a couple instances where my author has dropped out and then my pitch hitter dropped out and then everybody dropped out. And so I wound up with nothing for it. And that's a little frustrating too. That's frustrating because you're like, anybody, a story, please. And I usually, and usually somebody will step up when they see, oh wait, everybody dropped out. And someone will step up and go, okay, here, I'll give you. But yeah, there's just, and so I feel for the authors because it is a lot of stress and it's a lot of responsibility. And sometimes, and this is a hobby, right? Yeah. And sometimes we're just like, you know what? I can't. Real life is in the way and I just can't do it. So I don't feel bad about them doing it, but I feel self-pity for me, but I don't feel bad about anybody who has to drop out because of real life, because real life comes first all the time.
Absolutely. But it's nice to know when it does work out really well. You get to have that story, like you said, about your friend that was able to like come in and kind of like, do the thing for you and stuff like that. But yeah, I can imagine not having anything ever completed would be, it would bother you, because even if it's a hobby, at least,
it's just hanging open, right? It's just dangling in there.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, it sounds like you've got a lot of celebrating to do, which is going to be important. But it sounds like also that you're still really involved, I think, in the fandom to some extent. And it sounds like you're cheerleading and you still have the friends and, all that stuff going on that I think is really great. So I hope you always are, involved in some capacity for as long as you want to be.
I will be.
Supernatural.
We joke that the Supernatural fandom is the Hotel California fandoms. It really is hard to leave because just when you do, something else comes along and pulls you back in. So you're like, well, I guess I'm just not leaving.
I was going to ask too, being that you've seen it through quite a while. Have you seen sort of like some fans or people that you like maybe were in your circle kind of drop out for a little while, maybe latch onto another fandom, but then come back again to Supernatural just because it's like a constant, even if there's no like live canon, like you said, happening. There's like, I only know, I think of a few fandoms, I feel like that kind of have this sort of, I feel like a staying power, even if it's less and it's getting less. I just feel like there's this undercurrent of it's not really ever going to go away. And if you have some core friends, you might bring some people back in or bring some new people in. Yep. And I feel like that's kind of, it's always got this regenerative or recycle, like it's got this property of being online and having people find it and getting these new experiences, new readers. Like that's what's great about AO3 to me is like, again, I can go back and I can find all of these great stories that have been written a while ago, and it's new to me and it's fresh to me and it's all of these other takes and stuff. So I hope people never pull their work down from AO3 because now that you have the option to orphan it, you can still leave it up there and people can still enjoy it. And I totally understand if people are pulling them down to convert them to original fic, because I'm, in fact, if you guys are familiar with the Freak Camp verse? No, or have you seen anything? Okay, look that up. That was it started as a Sam and Dean AU, wildly AU, and the authors pulled it down, and they're currently being published as original fiction, and I'm doing the covers for those with those guys. That's awesome.
So it's really it's just a labor of love for them, and I'm so lucky to be a part of that. They're tough books to read. But they're very cathartic, I think, for the authors and for a lot of people who read them. Okay. And anyways, it's something to look up. Look up the Freak Camp, A Monster by Any Other Name. Okay. Is the sort of the
absolutely, subheading. Yeah.
Okay. And look those up and you can see where it's evolved into. And probably you can still get your hands on the Sam Dean AU. And if you can't, then just email the authors and they'll I'm sure they'll just load them to you. Awesome. They've been very they know how important the Supernatural fandom was for them to finish this. It's a long project. So they're always very gracious and kind to the Supernatural fandom. And will always be. Yeah, they're nice. They're good folk.
Yeah. I feel like it's such a good well of creativity. Like I think for anybody who's maybe never even thought about writing anything original, it kind of gives you that entry point of an established character. And then you can kind of sort of understand what takes place if like you do want to try your old world building and stuff. Like it's a lot. But especially like, how detailed Supernatural just has everything at your fingertips that you can plug in and play with. And I think that kind of gives you your brain gets to go, what if? And that's really special, I think, with the fandom too in particular. Yeah.
I think it really exercises your writing chops. I know a lot of people say that writing fanfic is shortcut because it's your world is already built, your character's already there. And to some degree, I agree with that. But I have become a much better writer through fandom because I'm always open to concrete. Always. I am always open to constructive criticism. I don't care, good, bad, or otherwise. I got rhino hide. You can't say anything that's going to hurt me. And I'm pretty good at discerning spite comments from actual, sincere, in good faith criticism of stuff that I've done. And I think that in fact, I had a friend who was in Supernatural fandom. She's no longer, who taught creative writing for a community college in San Francisco. And she DM'd me early on in my writing career and said, hey, can I give you some advice? And I'm like, absolutely. And she's like, your prose is so purple. She's like, you really need to dial back the adjectives and adverbs. And she was my beta for a lot of the early fics. So if you read my early stuff, it's quite purple. And as I go on, I become more aware of when I need to use adverbs and adjectives and how to create the mood of a scene without having to overly describe it. Yeah. Because words have their own flavor. And the flavor of the word you use doesn't have to be overly described. It just has to be the right word in the right place. And so I'm still working on that, but I think that you can learn that through fandom if you get a beta and you let that beta be what Amy calls, I think Amy mentioned it in hers, she's our bad news beta. She'll come in there and she will tell you exactly what, and she's always right. She's got such a good eye for that. And so she's a gift as a beta. So she's going to be hard, but she will make your stuff 10 times better. Yeah. And that's why we're friends. Yeah. And that's why we still hang together.
Good. Yeah. And I think
you need people around you like that though.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You do. You need people who are going to tell you when you miss the mark. Yeah. Not only as well as when you do brilliant, as well as the beautiful stuff, they got to tell you when you've missed your mark. And that's a valuable friend. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think experimenting too is really nice with fan fiction. I think it really lets you play with tenses. It lets you play with POV. You get to do things that aren't like quote unquote, by the book, like for traditional publishing and different things like that. And it really just lets you like explore. And sometimes just exploring characters, and it's just a fun
You don't have
outlet.
to end happily ever after, do you? Yeah. You don't have to have happily ever after. You can make it
you do.
As long as you learn it. No, you just got to warn. You just got to say, okay, dead dove do not eat, and go for it.
Yeah, I think that's
my beta would heavily disagree with you there. She would come knocking down the walls with a big hammer, going, "Where's the happy ending? Where is it?"
I think that becomes more like the parts of your story too, and I think that's what makes it kind of resonate and feel like it's. I feel like making it feel. Understanding when you need to make it feel real, when you can really dip into the fantasy part of it, when you can just indulge. Sometimes you just want to indulge with the characters, and it gives you that opportunity. I'm not really big surprise. I write romance novels. So for me, it's like, I want to indulge in that stuff. And I do in my writing at some point, just the way my brain's been built, like there will be a happily ever after, or at least a happy for now. Like that's what I think of, like a happy for now. There's still some bad stuff on the horizon. There's still stuff they're probably gonna have to deal with, but they're happy for now. So yeah, it gives everybody a chance to show you this is my style, and you get to figure out what your style is. I understand all about like purple prose, but sometimes it's really nice just to read a nice flowery piece of something, if it's just different and it's just there and it's its own little thing. And then, but if you know that, then you move on to something else. I think that's great. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't need Tolkien and King in my fanfic extolling the virtues of that same fucking town in Maine and like I don't need that. That's too much. But like sometimes it's just fucking nice to just be immersed in really flowery language and be like, oh, I can fucking see this so perfectly.
Get curled up in it and just like, and it's
soft and nice.
Feel the words are just That's true. But no, I will say again, Casey, you've got to read Rapid Scream because it is just I just think it's great. I just think it's great.
I will tell you one thing about that fic. It's when I actually felt like a writer because I had to do research for a particular scene that I will not spoil. And I looked at a video. I think you'll know which scene it is when you get to it. It was pretty grim and pretty gruesome. And I actually looked at videos to get that right. And I never want to have to do that again. But I felt like such a writer that I did the research and I bit the bullet and I looked up something. And I think
you can feel it. You feel it in that part too.
Oh, cool! I can't wait.
So you'll know what it is. You'll know what it is. And I will never have to do that again, and I'm glad. But I did it for the scene, and I felt like such a writer. Like I did that, but I will never do it again.
I need research like that. All my research is travel distances because I live in the UK. So my concept of far away and an American's concept of far away is like the Grand fucking Canyon apart.
Oh yes.
So I know roughly how far, and I don't drive either, so that skews my perception. So then I'm like midway through a saga that I'm working on at the moment, having to go, how far is Iowa from Nebraska? How long would this drive take? How far can I get Dean in 8 hours? Like, whereabouts is he going to be? Like, I don't.
Yeah. I Google that all the time.
We're not
I am obsessed about that. It's got to be right. It's got to be. They can't just drive to California in a day. It's not going to happen. Yeah. No. My latest one for something I'm working on right now was how long does it take to drive from Palo Alto in California to New York City? And it was like 46 hours. And I was like, okay, good. Like 3 days then. If you don't stop. Right. If you don't stop.
Yeah. I mean, Dean's a champion, but I think even he would need a piss break in 5 minutes in a 46-hour drive. But I do. I'd like the impression I'm getting is that this scene that you researched is particularly gruesome.
Yeah. Well, it is and it isn't. It's not super gruesome, but it's
like you said, you wanted to get it right. Yeah, you've got it.
It's a little bit of a sensitive scene.
I maybe this is something wrong with me. I like reading stuff like that because I like to. There's things can be gruesome and they fully are, but there can be beauty in that gruesomeness, and I'd love to see an author come in and take something and make it pretty. You know, it's not conventionally pretty, but it's still pretty. And I'm like,
I totally know. I mean, that's kind of how I approach my art. Like, I'm going to get you to like this really gruesome thing because it's going to be so beautifully rendered. That's really my, and if you like that, you'll love Monica Woe. She does she does that beautifully. She makes the macabre and the gruesome absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
So,
Opened up a whole new world for Casey.
Yes.
We're sorry.
I ain't going to get shit done at work next week. They're going to be like, here we go, deadlines. And I would be like, I'm busy. I got shit to read. Get out my hands.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, Cris, we're gonna let you go in a little bit. I just have one last question for you. I just wanted to know what words of wisdom you could pass along to any artists who are thinking about sharing their work or their creations with the fandom, but maybe hesitant to do so.
Well, I would say that if you're doing something shippy, that I would make an alter ego for that because and keep it separate, keep it separate from your meat suit name. I think I would do that. I would recommend that for anybody because of the way fandom is behaving right now and how they will, especially on Twitter. I think if I had planned ahead a little better, I would have kept my fandom persona and my meat suit persona separate, a little wider spread. It hasn't impacted me negatively, but because I don't do a whole lot of naughty stuff online. But I can absolutely see if you're an author or an artist who wants to try the YA.
You got to have a different pseudonym. Yeah. You got to have a different.
You have to keep your adult stuff, and you don't want somebody because you don't want somebody going, ooh, they wrote Wincest, Incest, and now they're trying to write YAs because they're doing that now. The antis, which we referred to earlier, are digging up people's meat suit's name and saying, oh, but you write incest and giving people. So I would say my advice to people entering is just keep your meat suit and your fandom personas separate, because then you can do whatever you want in fandom.
Yeah.
And like we said, the supernatural fandom will welcome anything. Like there's nothing that we haven't seen. We're responsible for Omegaverse. We're responsible for so much, and enjoy that. That's a luxury that not all fandoms have. Yeah. And if that's independent from your meat suit persona, your real life, you don't have to worry about some, cranky 17-year-old. I'm sorry, I'm so old. Some cranky young person trying to take you down a peg or 9 because they're mad at you for something. I don't know. But that happens online, unfortunately, more often than it should. And purity culture and all that stuff that's going on online right now. So I would just recommend to folks, if you go into fandom, go in with a nom de plume, an alter ego, and then have fun. Just have all the fun you want to have.
Yeah, Kasey gets on me because like with my like romance writing and different things like that, like I have like different, like I do narration and I have a different, I have a different pseudonym for the naughty stuff than I do for like the regular stuff. And, it's like I try not to get that, so you kind of just have to, because you don't know who's going to find out what and what they're going to decide to do with that information. It's none of their business, but they might, I
wish artists could. It's a little harder for artists to do that because our style is so. Even if you try to work in a different style, it's really hard to drop your ticks and your. So I wish but that would be my strongest suggestion to people is just keep it separate so you can have all the fun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, that's good advice. Sandra is correct. I repeatedly would get on her to just fucking put it all under one name. But as someone who is now trying to change my meat suit, my IRL like name and presentation and things like that, and also having everything linked in where I am online, so I'm trying to like draw a divide between like my online persona and my real life, who I am in real life, and then obviously I'm changing things, so I'm trying to change. It's just I wish I'd done it differently. My God, I wish I'd done it differently.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you.
As long as you're doing it at, you're getting on the ground floor. So you're starting to fix it now. So it's getting fixed and changed to figure it out.
Yeah, but it's
going to be messy.
So much fixing that can be done.
Yeah, it's a little messy. It's always a little messy when you don't, start in the way you're supposed to. But again, you learn, right? We all learn. No matter how old we are, we all learn something new every day, which is a wonderful thing. Absolutely wonderful.
Yep.
Cris, this has been so awesome. I appreciate you
for indulging me, you guys.
No, you indulged us with your time, and it's been great. And thank you for giving us, ideas on different people we can reach out to. Because I feel like our podcast is kind of like morphed into a lot of other things too. But we've always wanted that really focus on fan fiction. So I'm glad we're getting to reach out and more people are receptive, to us now, because like we were little and nobody knew who the heck we were. And now it's like, oh, but this person knows this person and they're willing to just come on and, talk about their journey with supernatural and 6
degrees of separation. We might make it to Jared and Jensen one day.
Yep, you probably will. You probably will.
Yeah, no, don't wish that on me. That's a fucking disaster. I can't have that happen.
I don't want them hearing anything I've narrated. That would not be good.
That's another reason why you want to keep it separate. You don't want them to be like, that's another reason. Just, keep it separate.
We're going to let you go, or we'll be talking to you for another half an hour. But really, we do appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Would you like me to treat? Would you like me to kick you out, or do you know how to leave?
Go ahead and kick me out, because I don't know how to push. I don't know how the buttons to push. So go ahead and kick me out.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Cris.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Well, we are going to wrap this up. This was was it not a great, but were you pleasantly surprised by all of the stuff that we got to experience? And yes, you have to read all of Chris's suggestions, because I know that a lot of the stuff that she's written and a lot of the stuff that she's collabed with other people, totally stuff that you would just like gobble up. I guess we're gonna wrap up, but I don't know if you have any like closing thoughts on our chat with Cris.
No, it's absolutely nothing to do with Cris. But when we were talking about purple prose, I was suddenly transported back to my English literature class that I took in college,
Mm-hmm.
and we were studying The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever read anything by Oscar Wilde, but he fucking likes a chat. Fuck me, does he like a chat? Like, it's not like King and Tolkien levels of fucking hell. He do like a talk.
I think I've read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I think I've read that. Yeah.
And I vividly remember, I can remember the classroom, I can remember where I was sat, I can remember arguing with my teacher. English literature was not a subject I should have taken because nobody ever wants to hear, not in like standard, mandatory education. Nobody wants to hear what you think about the text. They want to hear you parrot back what the exam board wants to hear. Mm-hmm. So I would get into a lot of arguments with my high school English teacher and my college English teacher. College is like before university in the UK. I know you guys call it university college. Mm-hmm. But in the UK, when I was in school, we left school at 16, not 18, and you could go on to college and do 2 years in college, and then you would go into university. So it's the same kind of age. We just had you could also leave school and get a job or get an apprenticeship. You can't do that anymore. You either have to stay in education until you're 18, or you have to get an apprenticeship. You can't just leave and get a normal job.
Okay.
It's all changed. But yeah, I used to get into arguments with my teachers all the time because I was like, I just think it's like this. And they were like, that's fine, but that's not what the exam board wants to hear. And I'm like, but why? Mm-hmm. Why ask the question if it's not open for interpretation? Yeah. So yeah, it's a description of a garden, or it might even be like a wall with a window or something. Fuck me, does it go on and on and on and on and on. And that was my first introduction to purple prose. So yeah, listening to Cris talk about it just threw me back there. And I fully do. I don't mind a little bit of purple prose. I'm known to get purpley myself sometimes. Just sometimes you just
know when it's necessary and know when it isn't. Like, if the style leans into it, then I don't think there's a reason to not include some of it. I feel like if it's what you want to write, but then, I think pulling it back, like I said, I think you kind of learn less is more over time.
Yeah,
for certain things.
I do think there's a time and a place that it is just nice.
Yeah, just
to wrap your reader up and just be like, this is nice. Just be here in this moment. But no, that was my overriding thought. And Cris, when you're listening to this, comment and let me know if you had a nice time with the antlers. Was the head end the right choice? Because I meant to ask you, and again, I forgot.
Oh goodness.
Because y'all heard me offer her the choice. She could have had the front end or the back end. She chose to be up front with the antlers. So I want to know if she had a nice time. And also, if you are a Sam person, please, he's fucking heavy.
Well, we have more people to reach out to for that, so we can get a lot of Sam love. Yeah, growing. No, we do appreciate it. And again, if you're listening, and we also have a guest form that you can fill out if you're interested in coming on, or if you just want to email us or just want to contact us, and maybe you've got something in particular you want to talk about. You want to talk about your fan fiction, drop us a line. We'll have a chat, get back to you, see if we can schedule something. But, we want to be positive about a lot of things. And again, you're going to hear, and you've already heard, different people coming on who enjoy different ships and things like that. And we're about that. We're not about necessarily one thing. We want to hear your viewpoint. We may not ship the same thing you ship, but, if you're interested in talking, having 100%. A nice discussion, look us up, hit us up, do the thing. And how do you do the thing? You can reach out to us. You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify and use the Q&A section to share your thoughts. All of our contact details are on our website, idlingintheimpala.com. Go check it out.
Yes, go check out the website. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, follow, and subscribe wherever you access your podcast. I can't speak. But especially if you are watching or listening on YouTube, comments, likes, subscriptions all help us with the YouTube algorithm. All hail its benevolence. And of course, if you are listening on Spotify or any other audio place, give us a review, man. 5 stars. We're fucking awesome. Come on now. Be a part.
Yes, all the stars. All the stars.
All the stars, please. All the stars, please. As always, in the description, there are the causes that we are currently championing. So for me, we have a UK and a US-based LGBTQ plus talking charity. So these are charities that you can reach out if you are in need of, guidance, just somebody to talk to. If you are in crisis, you can reach out to them as well. Not everybody has a safe network in real life that they can talk to if they are struggling with issues regarding sexuality and identity and all that not so great stuff, so that's what they are there for from me. From Sandra, we have a couple of mental health charities regarding, sort of thriving, not just surviving after abuse, and, charities that help people after they have suffered abuse, rape,
just
things
taking
like
care
that.
of your mental health, just different ways to look into how you can be nicer to yourself. That's all important.
Yes, you is important. You is loved and you is important, and reach out to these places if you need to, because you deserve help and support. Look after yourself. Also from Sandra, it is election year in the US. I think it's election year in the UK. I still haven't looked it up. Sorry, guys. Actually, by the time this goes out, I think it's fucking over. I think it's in May. By the time this goes out, by the time you're listening to this, we could have a whole new government in the UK. It's highly unlikely, but we could do.
So what have you learned? Voting's important.
Yes, that is the key point. It is election year in the US, and that is marginally more important than in the UK, because none of our potential prime ministers is going to blow up the fucking planet. So, to bastardize the Rocky Horror Picture Show and the Tenacious D cover of Time Warp, it's a jump to the left, not a step to the right, okay? So, Sandra has provided us with the American Civil Liberties Union and vote.gov. I got it right. Just places where you can keep yourself informed, keep yourself appraised of, what you need to do to make sure that you are able to vote when the time comes, and, make sure that you're not going to fall foul of any voting laws or anything like that might get passed between now and then. And as always, it is our sincere hope that by the time this episode goes out, which should be around June time, God, we're so far ahead, guys. It is February today. But we hope that by the time this episode goes out, these links won't be needed anymore. But at the time of recording, February, they still are. So we are championing, highlighting, spotlighting, any other adjective that means to draw attention to two charities that are working on the ground, both in the Ukraine, which is still being unlawfully invaded by Russia and is still at war with Russia, and also on the ground in Gaza, which, while Palestine itself is not at war with Israel, Gaza is home to Hamas and they are at war with Israel. Palestine is just an unfortunate, unlucky bystander in this conflict. So we are drawing attention to World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. As the name suggests, World Central Kitchen is helping to provide food, and Doctors Without Borders is helping to provide medical care in both of these places and many other places all around the world. We practice what we preach here at Idling in the Impala. We have made donations to both of those charities. Now, this is not a political issue. I'm not really interested which side of the line you fall in either of these conflicts. This is purely humanitarian. There are people in the Ukraine and there are people in Gaza and there are people in conflict zones all over the world that these charities help. They did not ask for war. They are not at war. They are trapped. They are cut off from basic necessities. They are starving. They are dying. That is what it comes down to. Innocent people are dying. These charities are trying to help, and we're trying to help them by raising awareness. If you can help those charities or any of the charities that we have listed financially to help them keep helping others, that would be incredible. But that is not the only way to help out. Just sharing the links around on social media, drawing attention to these things that are still happening. The news cycle in the West moves very quickly. And I know Russia is, at time of recording, currently back in the news cycle. Cheers, Carlson. It does move very quickly, but just because it's not in the news doesn't mean that these things still aren't happening. So just sharing the links around, drawing attention, reminding people, hey, this shit's still happening. If you can help out, here is a way to do so, that would be amazing. So with that, we will say thanks to quickreaver Cris for joining us today. Thank you for joining us in the backseat, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.